The scream cut through the playground like a siren. Not loud at first, just sharp, sudden. A small pair of sneakers scraping against concrete. Tiny hands clawing at a bigger wrist wrapped tight around her throat. And then, silence. Because the bully wasn't playing. He was choking her. The afternoon sun hung low over the schoolyard, casting long shadows across the asphalt. Parents chatted by their cars. Kids laughed near the swings. But near the basketball court, everything froze. A tall middle school boy had one arm locked around a smaller girl's neck, squeezing hard enough to make her knees buckle. She said she didn't care who her mom was, one kid whispered. Another recorded on his phone. The bully leaned close to her ear. Say it again, he hissed. The girl struggled to breathe. Her name was quiet in the crowd. But her last name? That carried weight. She was the daughter of Ronda Rousey. And the bully thought that made her a target. By the time a teacher started running toward them, the damage was done. The girl collapsed onto the pavement, coughing, red marks forming across her neck. The bully stepped back like it was nothing. She talks too much, he shrugged. The phone cameras stopped. Because suddenly, a black SUV pulled into the parking lot. Fast. Too fast for a normal pickup. The engine cut. The door opened. And the air shifted. Boots hit the pavement with a calm, deliberate rhythm. Not rushed. Not frantic. Controlled. The kind of control forged inside cages under bright lights. Ronda Rousey removed her sunglasses slowly. She had come straight from training. Hair pulled back tight. Gym bag slung over her shoulder. Expression unreadable. But her eyes? Locked. On her daughter. She didn't scream. Didn't run wildly. She moved like a storm that knew exactly where it was headed. When she knelt beside her daughter, her voice was soft. Hey baby, look at me. Her daughter nodded weakly. I'm okay, she whispered, though her voice cracked. She didn't scream. Didn't run wildly. She moved like a storm that knew exactly where it was headed. When she knelt beside her daughter, her voice was soft. Hey baby, look at me. Her daughter nodded weakly. I'm okay, she whispered, though her voice cracked. Rhonda's jaw tightened. The red finger marks on that small neck burned brighter than any spotlight she'd ever stood under. Who did it? She asked gently. A trembling finger pointed across the court. At him. The bully. Still standing there. Still trying to look unbothered. He didn't understand yet. He saw a woman. He didn't see the champion. He didn't see the years of combat training. He didn't see the Olympic-level precision built into her reflexes. He saw someone's mom. And he smirked. That your kid? He said casually. The crowd gasped. Someone whispered, he doesn't know. Rhonda stood up slowly. Every movement economical. Every breath measured. She walked toward him without raising her voice. Did you put your hands on my daughter? She asked. The bully shrugged. She was talking. Rhonda tilted her head slightly. And choking her was your solution? She shouldn't use your name like it means something. The playground fell silent. Because suddenly, it did mean something. Rhonda stepped closer. Not invading. Not threatening. Just present. You think strength is squeezing someone smaller than you? She asked calmly. The bully scoffed. I'm not scared of you. That sentence. Wrong choice. Very wrong choice. But here's the part no one expected. She didn't touch him. Didn't grab him. Didn't throw him. Because real fighters understand consequences. Instead, she turned to the principal, who had finally arrived, breathless. I want this documented, she said firmly. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried like steel. And I want his parents called. Now. The bully's confidence flickered. This wasn't a viral moment. This wasn't a quick shove and run. This was accountability. Minutes later, his father arrived, confused and irritated. What's going on? He demanded. Then he saw her. Recognition dawned slowly. Wait, you're... Yes, Rhonda replied evenly. His face changed. Because suddenly the situation wasn't just playground drama. It was serious. The principal explained the choking. The witnesses. The red marks. The recorded video. The father looked at his son. Did you put your hands on her throat? Silence. Then, yes. The word felt heavy. Rhonda folded her arms. Not aggressively. Protectively. You're lucky I'm not the person I used to be, she said quietly. The father swallowed. I'm so sorry, he said quickly. But Rhonda's eyes were on the boy. Look at her, she said. He hesitated. Look at her. He did. Her daughter stood beside her, still rubbing her neck. Small, but standing. You felt powerful? Rhonda asked him. He didn't answer. You felt strong. His shoulders dropped. No. There it was. Strength. Ronda said calmly, is control. The same lesson that separates fighters from brawlers. You don't get to use your size to silence someone, she continued. Especially not my child. Her daughter reached for her hand, and Ronda squeezed it gently. Soft. Because that's the duality. Fury and defense. Tenderness and love. The school suspended the bully immediately. Mandatory counseling. Parent meetings. Zero tolerance. And for the first time, the boy looked shaken. Not because he feared being hit, but because he realized something bigger. He wasn't facing intimidation. He was facing consequence. Before leaving, Ronda knelt again in front of her daughter. Did you fight back? She asked softly. Her daughter nodded. I tried. Ronda smiled proudly. That's my girl. Then she looked back at the bully one final time. If you ever put your hands on her again, she said evenly, you won't be dealing with a playground. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise of protection. As they walked toward the SUV, whispers followed. She could have destroyed him. She didn't. That's scarier. Because the most dangerous fighters aren't the loudest. They're the most disciplined. That night, her daughter asked her something unexpected. Mom, why didn't you choke him back? Ronda paused. Then she answered honestly. Because I don't fight kids. I train them to be better. Her daughter thought about that. Is he bad? No, Ronda said softly. He made a bad choice. Big difference. Weeks later, something surprising happened. The bully showed up at a local youth self-defense class. Not to dominate. To learn. He avoided eye contact at first, until Ronda noticed him standing awkwardly by the mat. She walked over. You here to squeeze throats? She asked dryly. He shook his head quickly. No, ma'am. Why are you here? He swallowed. Because I don't want to be that guy. Silence. Then she nodded once. Good. Training was hard. Humbling. He learned how easily balance can disappear. How quickly strength fails without technique. How control is everything. And one day, during drills, he found himself paired with her daughter. They hesitated, then bowed, respectfully, and trained. No anger, no fear, just growth. Because sometimes the real fight isn't in a cage. It's in the choice you make after you hurt someone. And the bully? He expected rage. He expected violence. He expected revenge. What he got instead was discipline. Boundaries. That was the word that stayed with everyone. Not fists. Not fame. Not fear. Boundaries. The next morning, the school felt different. Whispers still floated through the hallways, but they weren't mocking this time. They were reflective. That's her mom. She didn't even yell. She just handled it. The bully walked in quieter than usual. No loud footsteps. No shoulder bumps. No smirks. For the first time, he felt eyes on him not because he was intimidating, but because he had been exposed. And exposure is uncomfortable. Across town, Ronda Rousey was already deep into her morning training. The heavy bag swung violently from a sharp combination, jab, cross, pivot, body shot. Her power was still there, untouched, but her focus was different. Between rounds, she checked her phone. No new incidents. No calls from the school. Good. She wasn't training for revenge. She was training for life. At lunch, something unexpected happened. The bully approached her daughter's table. Not aggressively. Carefully. The cafeteria noise softened just slightly. He cleared his throat. Hey. Her friend stiffened. She looked up calmly. Yes. He swallowed hard. I'm sorry. No jokes followed. No sarcastic tone. Just the weight of a boy who had seen the consequences of crossing a line. She studied him for a second. You scared me, she said honestly. I know. Silence. Then she nodded once. Don't do it again. Simple. Direct. A boundary. He nodded. I won't. And that was it. No drama. No applause. Just two kids choosing maturity. But growth is tested, not declared. A week later, during gym class, another boy shoved someone smaller near the lockers. Old energy. Old patterns. The bully, the same one who had done the choking, saw it. And this time, something inside him shifted. He stepped forward. Knock it off, he said firmly. The aggressor laughed. What? You soft now? He didn't flinch. No. Just done being stupid. That line carried more power than any threat. The shove stopped. The tension dissolved. Because strength had changed hands. That evening, Ronda picked up her daughter as usual. How was school? She asked. Her daughter smiled faintly. He apologized. Ronda glanced over. And I told him not to cross my boundaries again. Ronda's lips curved slightly. Good. After a pause, her daughter added. He stopped someone else from bullying today. Ronda didn't react immediately, but something softened in her chest. Sometimes, she said thoughtfully, people just need to see what strength really looks like. Later that week, the boy showed up again at the youth self-defense class. This time earlier. This time prepared. He wrapped his hands properly. Listened closely. When Ronda demonstrated a technique, he didn't rush. He observed. Why so slow? She asked him during drills. Because I'm learning control, he replied. She nodded once. Good answer. One evening after class, he lingered. You could have hurt me, he said quietly. Ronda looked at him steadily. Yes. Why didn't you? She adjusted her gloves calmly. Because I'm not here to win fights against kids. He nodded slowly. That scared me more. She allowed a faint smirk. It should. Not because she was threatening him, but because discipline is intimidating. Meanwhile, her daughter was changing too. She stood straighter, spoke clearer, carried herself like someone who knew she was protected, not just by her mother's reputation, but by her own voice. During show and tell week, another student asked nervously, Is your mom scary? She smiled. No. Then added, She just doesn't let people cross boundaries. The class nodded, because that made sense. Months passed. The school incident faded into memory, but the shift remained. The bully's grades improved. He joined a wrestling team. He learned respect the hard way, through repetition, failure, and discipline. And one afternoon at a local youth tournament, he found himself standing across from Ronda's daughter in a grappling match. The crowd murmured. They bowed. The whistle blew. This time, there was no anger, no ego, just focus. They circled carefully, testing balance, searching for openings. She moved first, clean technique, controlled grip. He countered smoothly. They grappled hard, but clean. When she finally executed a clean sweep and secured the position, the referee called it. Match. Applause broke out. He stood up and offered his hand immediately. She took it. Respect. Real respect. Afterward, he approached Ronda. I didn't go easy, he said honestly. I know, she replied. Neither did she. That made him smile. You raised her strong. Ronda looked at her daughter laughing with teammates. No, she corrected gently. She chooses to be. Boundaries. That's what started it. Not violence. Not intimidation. Boundaries. And boundaries don't just protect people. They transform them. Because when someone strong stands firm without losing control, it forces everyone watching to grow. The bully expected chaos. He expected rage. He expected a headline. What he got instead was something far more powerful. Accountability, guidance, and a living example of strength under control. And in the end, the real victory wasn't on a mat. It wasn't in a cage. It was in the choice to become better. Because the most dangerous champion isn't the one who throws the hardest punch. It's the one who teaches you why you shouldn't have thrown yours in the first place.